You're really invested in them vanquishing Joe in this beef, huh?
It's not that more than like, I hated what I saw Joe do. I think we all did. Like, it just was so tacky and wrong and in poor taste after years and years to build a brand with people and just do that. Like, Rory and Mal are really good at what they do, but it sucks that it's so overshadowed by the fact that a lot of that support is people hating what he did to them so much that they can't even just be them right now. Like, that is how fucked up that was. And it's funny because I remember like coming in here and thinking like I didn't want to talk about it, but it's hard not to as like someone that has a partner, just thinking about that. Like, I would feel disgusted if Mandy did that to me. I built a brand with this girl. I don't give a fuck how much you hate me. Like, dude, even the Call Her Daddy situation, half of that girl's entire catalog was with Sophia. And you really got up there in your first episode and acted like you did nothing with this bitch. It takes nothing to show humility. And the greatest moguls of our time will appreciate their team. Athletes, musicians, actors. I'm sorry, but like that was just wrong. And clearly we now see that they really did have value and do have value. And you know, that first episode they did, just talking and having fun, it was so simple. And like, you're like, oh, like these are just people that like, they are good at what they do. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be great at whatever they do. And so will Joe. Joe is so entertaining to watch. But to not act like they didn't elevate that podcast is sick to me. And I did not like that. And just as a podcaster, I can't appreciate somebody speaking to somebody's work that way. So like, yes, I've already loved Rory and Mal always. But like now, after just watching someone shit on you or try to, because I really don't think he did a good job at it, but I want them to win. I mean, we all do.
It's a crazy dynamic to just think about hundreds of thousands of listeners shifting between podcasts, because I was watching a clip of Ack where he was saying that when they started Everyday Struggle, that at first it really felt like a majority, maybe 70-80% of the fans were there to see Ack, and then the Joe Budden fan base was maybe a bit smaller of who was coming to Everyday Struggle at that time. But then after Joe left the podcast, the views immediately shrunk by like 80% or 70% or whatever. So a lot of those fans who came to see Ack on Everyday Struggle left with Joe to the Joe Budden podcast. And then with the Rory and Mal thing, you're kind of seeing like another big swing where you're kind of seeing Joe's views dipping, Rory and Mal getting hundreds of thousands on all the shit that they're doing. I mean, it's pretty fucking interesting because a lot of times I think when you think about these fan bases, you think of them as being so entrenched that they're not likely to leave. And this just shows us that these fan bases are perfectly happy to be mobile between whatever they think is worth supporting at the time.
Well, for Joe, I think his moments are so viral and we love watching Joe. Like, I don't listen to the Joe Budden podcast, but like when there's something to see, I'm going to click on it because like that person is that entertaining. But we are in the 1% of most listened to podcasts. I think the top 1% is like anything over 10 or 15,000 views. This is such a small demo because that's how many podcasters there are. You can't tell me Rory and Mal ain't shit, bro. And then really, especially the way he was talking about Mal acting like he was some bum ass nigga. Like, Mal is fucking lit. Like, you really gonna try to have us act like he was just like sitting there? Like, that's crazy. And I think that it was so outrageous and just unbelievable that that's really what kind of turned people off. Because I think we've all watched Joe be so big and crazy and liked that, but it was just watching it do it to friends where we all kind of felt that no matter who you are, you kind of felt like, damn. And especially they got long-term listeners. I've been to their shows, man. Like, people go to all of the shows. They love them. And like, you do that to them, it's hard, even if you are the favorite. Like, they'll fucking turn on you. And I really believe you have to show humility, and that really we all need to be brought down to earth and understand that like sometimes you aren't anything with your team. Like, I just had this conversation with Charlemagne, and it wasn't in tandem to the Joe Budden conversation at all. It was about how much he appreciated Ange and Envy. And he was like, even when people like will say things like, you know, about me being Charlemagne, blah, 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 he was like, I know what they bring to this. And I believe that Rory and Mal did bring that to that show. I don't have to believe it is true. We're seeing it now. And I'm just happy that they can be in a space where they feel good.
It's crazy because it feels like I don't think that the Rory Mal thing is a death blow to the JBP, but it's probably
not.
their biggest existential crisis throughout all these years. And it could have been avoided so easily. All Joe had to do was just be nicer and be more transparent about the business.
I 100% agree with you. I think that greediness is really difficult. I think that narcissism is a difficult thing when you feel like you have to grasp it. And obviously that show is so great. As much as I could say I don't like what he's doing, I know that his show is great with Rory and Mal. We all fucking know it. I don't care how much you hate Joe. It's just the truth. Watching them three laughing, they're so funny together. Like, it fucks me up, like, to the point where I can't believe that happened.
Right.
And I also think maybe, I don't know if it was the name change, I don't know what, but like when that Spotify thing happened and they were on a billboard, I saw that billboard for myself. Like, that's so exciting to watch happen for people. Weren't they the first Spotify deal? Podcast deal?
I think so, yeah. I think
so
most of
too.
us hadn't really even realized that Spotify was doing podcasts till then.
Even though it was, it's two black guys, it's our culture. And it's exciting to watch happen. A big moment for podcasters. So like when I saw that with Rory and Mal, to then just see like, oh, you like fuck these niggas? Like, are you serious? Like, that is hard to watch when you watch something monumental happen like that. It wasn't just you.
Right.
I don't care what the name of the show is.
Were you pushing Mandy to not work with them as a result? How'd that conversation go?
We didn't really have a conversation. Mandy loves Joe. She's a fan of his work and she likes his brand. And although I'm not a fan, that's just her lane. Mandy is going to make a lot of money at whatever she does. Like, Mandy has a personality that I don't have, with it, vice versa. That's why we work together well. Or that's why people are attracted to what we bring. But no, I think Mandy has some of that in her where she has those hot takes and she doesn't really care what people think of her. And I think that's a lot of what can make Mandy great. I think that is what makes Joe great. I'm not necessarily that person, but I think the weirdest thing out of that, though, was people constantly comparing the Charlemagne network for us and her show with that. Like, I honestly think that was a super smart thing to do. I believe I just did that with Charlemagne in Kenya. You get with two black moguls in your space. I don't think Joe is a mogul, and that's no shade to him. I just don't. He's not there yet, but I believe Charlemagne is one, and I think Joe is huge in that space, and Mandy is in that talk space. So that's what you want. Go for that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think what she did was crazy. I just think it's unfortunate that that happened with Joe, but I don't think that will have an effect at Mandy at all. Mandy's not stupid, and her talent shouldn't be overshadowed by what the fuck he did being dumb, and I hope she prospers. But I don't think Joe is going to be the biggest thing Mandy does. I think it's a good move. It gets more eyes on her, but like, there's no fucking way that can be the biggest thing she does in her career.
For sure. My co-host, Little House Phone, DM'd Mandy, and it was being discussed on the podcast, and I was basically like...
Say it. Wait, what?
My co-host, Little House Phone...
Okay, Little House Phone.
It's a human being's name. Yeah.
No. When you were saying house phone, I was like, you said phone. I was confused. Okay.
The first time people realize that there's a person named Little House Phone, they oftentimes are pretty confused. Yeah. But I think he DM'd Mandy, and then I was on the podcast basically saying you need to watch out because she pegs dudes. And then I think she told me, please don't reduce me to just someone who fucks men in the ass with strap-ons, because she doesn't want to. And I was like, oh, okay, you're more than just a pegger. I got to give you that. Yeah.
I think she's just exhausted with telling the same story.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I don't either. Like, yes, Mandy has done that, but it's just like, fuck. Like, she even said when we went on the Breakfast Club, like, oh my God, bro, we gotta talk about this shit again. And I don't think she's trying to like shy away from it. It's just annoying. Like, the same for me, right? Like, when I just did Wayno's podcast, it was the first interview I ever had where we didn't talk. Someone didn't ask me about sex.
Really?
Now, granted, you and I are a lot more sexual than Wayno is as a person. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's natural to probably bring up, but Wayno doesn't necessarily talk like that. And I thought it was great that this person didn't bring that out of me. And I think like Mandy, especially now doing a podcast with a musician, Bridget, who's a great singer and had that experience, she's like, yeah, like I do other shit. So I could see why she acts like that, but or has that opinion, but it is difficult when like people still ask the same shit over and over.
It's like if you killed someone, everybody's gonna want like every time they talk about the baby, they got to talk about him killing the guy in Walmart. It's hard to do anything much more dramatic than killing someone.
Know.
It's hard to do anything much more dramatic than fucking a man in the ass with a strap on. A man named Lil House Phone.
You know what's funny? Like, we both have done this, except Mandy was so much more like badass about it that no one even realizes. And Mandy has the personality like she could fucking do it. Where mine, it's like, people thought I wasn't telling the truth.
You do it in a chill way.
No, like I was just like, it wasn't really like for me. I'm just like, I get subbed out so easy. Like when I'm into somebody, that like it's hard to be that dominant. With women, no, I could definitely do it. But with men, like I have a certain type of guy I like, so it's hard.
When us heteronormative guys hear about the idea of getting pegged, it's very like, we can't, like everything else leaves our brain. We're just like, we can't wrap our heads around the idea that this is something that could really happen to us. And there's girls who are really trying to do this. It's just, as men, we find this very shocking, I think.
I mean, I think it's just, I say this analogy all the time. Your masculinity isn't in your asshole, bro. Like, there's mad homo thugs that will come fuck this whole place up. You know what I'm saying? But
even if we squash the beef, I ain't shaking your hand. I just randomly saw that DMX video on fucking YouTube, and it is the most homophobic rap song probably ever. But it's so good.
Honestly, like the homophobia in rap, like I feel sometimes bad when I'm saying, was it "Welcome to the Party," the Pop Smoke song, when he like, whether he says the F word or whatever, like sometimes I be feeling, I feel bad, man. Like a lot of this shit I love is homophobic as fuck. Like think about like Jamaican shit, whatever. But I think that I can't police those artists. Like they're not as intelligent as a person as I am.
So did you grow up around a lot of daggering?
Oh my God, dude. I was like on my fucking head top going to fucking Jamaican parties. Like, dude, a Jamaican drug dealer when I was 16, 17, 18 was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a housewife. I thought it was like the hottest fucking thing.
That's honestly what I thought that Joe should have said as his defense when they got at him for humping that girl on Mandy's podcast. He should have said that he was daggering.
I'll be honest with you. I can't even... I feel like out of respect for Mandy, I can't talk about it, but I think what he did was wrong. I think everybody knows it was wrong. I just like, I don't think she deserved that. I also think it was embarrassing for her. You know what I mean? Like,
but if it was just daggering, then he could have just been showing love to.
But it wasn't, because she was already clearly showing that she didn't want any kind of like interaction like that.
But
you know
people
what I mean?
get daggered on who don't want to.
She didn't get fucking daggered. The girl got grabbed. He pressed up on her, and it was weird. It was weirdo shit.
That was a little weird, yeah.
Like, it would be weird if anyone did it. It was weird. And I hate that, like...
Sometimes Laura hugs me, and I'm like, oh my God, is this allowed?
I mean, is she... I
no,
can't even make a joke of it because it was gross.
But
But I do feel bad, like... Obviously, to watch that happen to, a girl on screen, we all can, like, replay the moment. And she got a kid. Like, it's terrible. And it was also really hard because... so much podcast drama is happening at that one point in time. And a lot of me has not wanted to talk about it because I really want to keep Mandy and my relationship good. But even with the Rory and Mal shit, like, it's like, okay, well, if I say that I love them, are people going to then flood Mandy's mentions and say this is a fuck Joe thing or whatever? And it's like, honestly, I've just really tried to put myself in this box of like, I have to keep my relationship with her good, stand up for what's right. And if I'm a fan of somebody that doesn't like someone she used to work with, like, fuck it. As long as I'm not saying fuck Mandy, that's all I care about. You know what I mean?
That's real.
Because we have to keep some respect there and like make sure that, as far as our brand and what's keeping us happy, I got to get in the fucking studio with this bitch on Sunday. I can't be like talking crazy about somebody she works with to the point where it's going to make her uncomfortable. But it's also very difficult when you see a situation like that happen to not say anything. Like it was weird. It was weird for me to watch.
Yeah.
All of us to watch. You know what I mean?
I actually honestly think it's kind of amazing how Joe was surrounded through so much other controversy that he kind of just skated past a lot of that, where it feels like it would have been a bigger deal if he wasn't already surrounded by a lot of other controversy.
I don't think he skated past that. I think people are being very hard on him. I don't know. And it also could be because everyone is so angry about what they saw happen. And I understand he's apologized for it. But, what we learned through Rory and Mal, like, one thing I will say is I don't think they sound like they were lying at all. You know what I mean? Like, it was very plain. It was very simple. There was no going around about it. It was very simple. And I believe they're not showy people like that. So to get on there and give your fans the truth is something that we should all deem commendable.
Like, I remember Rory saying basically that, like, if the Joe Budden podcast ended, that he didn't have any plans on starting his own podcast after that, which I believe that at that time he probably felt that way. That he wasn't really, like, looking past the JVP.
I believe that Rory and Mal are making content right now.
Right.
There's no, like... I really can't speak for them in that regard. I know some of it they filmed at my studio, but even then, they even said at the end of it was... like, this isn't really our podcast. Like, they're just, like, imagine you're doing this job for years. You don't miss it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're just putting shit out and having a good time with it and like making money on their shit. They should be doing that, man. They are known for that. They'd be crazy not to make money like this. And people want to hear from them. They miss them. I feel like we all miss that part of their clips or whatever it is. So like they should be making bread on that. That's what they should be doing. That makes sense. That's what I want. I'm glad Sophia fucking did with her shit. Like when you leave a situation, like we still want you back. You still got fans. Like, and I think it's great that they're not abandoning them. And you know, whether Joe is reinventing his shit with new people and finding his new wave, like everybody's gonna keep making money at the end of the day. Will his show be as big without Rory and Mal or bigger? Who fucking knows? But I do think it is funny how people were shitting on them so much. Like it was crazy to me that like to even think it was. I really didn't believe it. I thought it was unfathomable that they couldn't be big without him. And I really hated it. Were you one of those people? Did you think they wouldn't do well?
I guess I'm surprised by how well it's doing, but I definitely thought that it would do well. I think that's one thing about the internet is that the internet really loves the underdog. And at that moment, it really felt like, oh, Joe is the rich, fucking unrelatable celebrity. And that Rory and Mal are a lot more like their average fan.
Rory and Mal got money though, bro.
Oh, I believe that too.
And second to that, I will say like, I think underdog diminishes their fame as individuals too. Because it might seem like that because Joe is trying to like be on this thing when he was speaking to them that way, but like, nah, bro, like people are fucking fans of them. I think I didn't even understand the magnitude of their fandom until a show. I was like, holy shit. Mandy and I have never not sold out a live show the first 2 tours, right? WME started having us play huge rooms, but like that fandom, Mal was 100% right. It is not just him. I've seen it from my own eyes. And I tweeted and people were saying I was full of shit. I saw people cry at the show, men. Like people are very affected by podcasters. They love them. They fall in love with you. They're committing time to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like that for Jesus and Meryl. Like they got me out of a depression.
Really?
Like, oh my God, listening to people that can like take your mind off things. This is real work. That's why Mandy and I have had to be careful when we may feel tense about something because you know you're putting that shit on other people. Like people listen to you for education or entertainment. And even if it's both of them, whatever, like you gotta make sure you're bringing light